Reasons you should get your 3-year-old into dance class. Either your 3-year-old is a boy or a girl. Dance class teaches coordination, teaches attentiveness, focus, it teaches collaboration, and it teaches self-esteem. For myself, I started dance class when I was 3 years old, and I basically grew up in dance class with my friends. We started at 3 years old and we continued until we were about 17, and then we branched off into our own sort of endeavors. Either that's dance, right, Broadway, or to be a rockette, or that is to use, right, dance for another sort of endeavor, such as Kundalini yoga or writing, right? Dance class for a 3-year-old really sets that pattern for a child to be collaborative with other students, right, with other classmates in a very in a competitive, but also in a very cooperative manner. It also teaches children self-esteem in the way that they have to perform, right? They have to think highly of themselves, right? To perform and to show their classmates or their parents or their family, right, their dance routine. And they also have to have self-esteem just to be able to believe in themselves to learn the dance routine, especially if it's, you know, it's challenging or it's next level. And it also teaches them, it sets a pattern in their nervous system of flexibility and agility. And that is one thing I've discovered in my personal journey that has stayed with me, right? Is that ability in my nervous system to be very agile and to be very flexible just naturally. And not just in my physical body, like my spine or my legs, but also, or my hips, also my ability in the mind, right? I have a more flexible and agile mind, right? So basically what a child experiences in their body, a lot of times it basically they experience in their mind. So when a child from, let's say, ages 3 to however long they want to pursue that, it really does create creative pathways in the mind of innovation, problem solving, inventive sort of patterns in the mind that do affect them when it comes to learning math or learning English or learning Spanish, learning German, right? Or when it comes to geometry, when it comes to even art. They are naturally more inclined to have a creative perspective and naturally more inclined to be enthusiastic, right? Because everything about dance class is about being enthusiastic. It's about self-expression. It's about moving beyond your barriers so that you can have a breakthrough, so that you can invite in new movement into your body, right? It's all about nuances in the body as well as in the mind that really bring about greater levels of movement, right? Or greater expressions of movement, or a greater energy behind those movements, right? So at 3, right, 3 to 5, that 3 to 5 years old is kind of the time when students start, right? 3 to 5, 3 to 5, 6. And that's the time when our early childhood development is very, very important. That's when we're most sponge. We sponge everything out. And then around 9, they say that is our highest self-esteem. And then after 9, we can go many ways. So at that 3 to 5 years old, that's a very crucial time for a child to be fed constructive, corrective, and creative sort of movement, right? And dance, I find to be one of the greatest sort of patterns for a young child. We could say there's other sort of, recreational activities or sort of lessons or classes a child can take, but this one it brings about a physiological sort of creative pattern when it comes to the mind, the mind and body, that really does set up a child from 3 to 5 moving into age 9 and age 10 where they get in the teen years and things get a little shaky, right? To really think highly of themselves firstly as a young person, but also have that level of grit, right? The level of grit to keep moving, right? To keep practicing, to keep trying, that you can do it. Because everything about dance is about a grit, right? There's a level of grit to any dancer. Either it's Rockette, either it's Broadway, either it's hip hop, either it's tap. There's a level of grit that really makes a child, as an adult, becoming adult, makes them very extraordinary in their ability to express themselves, articulate themselves, and their ability to really stand apart, right? To stand as an individual, but also as an individual that's very cooperative, right? That wants to be in a community, that wants to participate in a community of sharing and caring and inclusion. And really, these young people who do start dance at age 3 to 5 to 6, they, as adults, they tend to lean more towards innovative sort of pathways, even in their, it could be a career that is, is nothing to do with innovation, right? They tend to bring more innovation into what they do, right? They tend to whatever business or corporation, they tend to bring more creative innovation or more more of a crafty, gifted sort of perspective to an environment, of more inspiration, right, to an environment, because everything about dance to a 3 to 5-year-old really downloads into a young person's psyche what it means to be inspired, right, how to be inspired through watching, dance tapes of, Broadway, dances, when you're little, and what does it mean to really be in that sort of energy of inspiration, and how to move yourself into that, and how to keep that going, and how to really create movement that isn't just of a response, right, to the teacher, but also it brings in something special. It brings in something unique. You develop a personality. You develop character, right? And then eventually you start to trust yourself. You trust your personality. You trust your character, and then you start to get more credible, right? And you know what it is to earn the next level, right? To respect yourself and to respect the practice, right? It just brings a greater appreciation, right? The study of dance and the art form of dance, and the sort of intermingling with other people, other sort of dance styles, and kind of merging these different dance styles together. It makes a person, in my perspective, a lot more well-rounded in the way that can cross over into their daily life as an adult. Either that's Kundalini yoga or writing or anything that could be creative or seeming maybe not creative, right? But it really does kind of push them more in a path of creativity, push them more in a path of what it means to have grit, or to be charismatic, or to be a leader, or even a teacher, right? Because everything about from 3 to 5 in that class is about being a good student. And I like to say anybody who's a good student tends to be a good teacher, because there's something about a learner's mind and a student mind tends to be the mind that is very knowledgeable, right, that has a lot of energy behind that sort of mind's momentum, and tends to have a lot of sort of pathways of extraordinary ability to be able to map out in their body. It could even be a language, right? Sign language. It could be the Spanish. It could also be geometry, to really learn how to better at mapping out in the body nuances for greater exploration, or sort of expansion, right? Either that is expansion of a language, right? Learning a different language, or expansion in learning an instrument, right? Or learning how to surf, or learning how to rock climb, right? It really brings about this pattern of this nuance within the body mind physiology of how to be able to map out these extraordinary qualities into the physical.